I'm Nadeem Sarwar. I'm the founder and CEO of Flow Digital Diplomacy. A few years ago,
Last week, the United States condemned, in the strongest terms, Turkey's reported test of the nation's S-400 air defense systems, after a video began circulating in the Turkish media showing what appears to be the trail of a missile launch in the city of Sinop, reported SputnikNews.com. Turkish Defense Minister Hulusi Akar has stated that Ankara is still open to buying U.S. Patriot systems despite the purchase of Russia's S-400s. The acquisition of the S-400 was not a preference but a necessity. It does not mean our alienation from NATO. If such a need arises and if we are given guarantees related to technology transfer, joint production, and delivery schedule, we can purchase a Patriot or SAM-T, surface-to-air missile platform. Turkey has been working with its allies on alternative options and will continue this effort. We cannot accept statements like, "We are ready to sell, but Congress does not allow deliveries," Akar said, as quoted by Turkish broadcaster NTV. Speaking further, the senior official confirmed that Turkey had conducted tests of the Russian-made S-400 air defense systems in Sinop, noting that this was just scheduled work within the contract. Every purchase contract envisions tests. This is part of the acquisition program. These are purely technical activities, Akar said, as quoted by the Turkish broadcaster NTV. Earlier this month, Turkey issued an international NAVTEX alert about artillery exercises in the area of the Black Sea town of Sinop from the 13th to the 17th of October. A defense source told Sputnik that Turkey had successfully tested the S-400 systems, previously purchased from Russia. Moscow and Ankara signed a loan agreement on the delivery of S-400 systems in December 2017. In 2019, Turkey received several S-400 batteries worth $2.5 billion. Turkey's cooperation with Russia on the matter has been strongly criticized by NATO and the United States, who have cited security concerns relating to the S-400's alleged incompatibility with NATO's air defense systems. In response to Turkey and Russia signing the deal, the United States decided to suspend Ankara's participation in the F-35 stealth jet program in July 2019, pledging to completely remove the country from the project.
Once upon a magic dream, a young makeup artist made a secret cream.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. First I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rakah, Kodash, Tawada. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who are leading this word in truth, in spirit, and sincerity. And salutations to all the righteous brothers on the highways and byways and to the different streaming platforms that are bringing out this word in the name of Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rakah, Kodash, Tawada. As you can see, today's edification is called NATO and the US have rebuked Turkey about their S-400 missile testing, which they did 2 days ago, basically. So they did this 2 days ago. There's a little article here. We'll just quickly read some of this article here. US rebukes Turkey after Russian missile system tested. As you remember, we spoke about this last month. Turkey had purchased these S-400 air defense systems from Russia, which NATO have told Turkey, because remember, Turkey is a NATO member, that they can't have those systems because they can't be integrated with the NATO air defense systems which they have in place for against the Russians. Because remember, NATO has air defense systems which are integrated with the Americans' air defense systems, the Patriot system, which are used to defend against Russia. Now, Turkey, which is a NATO member, had gone and brought these missiles, these air defense systems, from the Russians, which NATO, all the NATO members, and America, which is the head of NATO, was all against. So anyway, so the system's all in place now. They've set it all up, they've configured it, they've geographically positioned where they want all of these air defense systems to go, and they was testing them on Thursday, 2 days ago. Turkey was testing. So this is what happened here. It says the US has warned NATO. The US has warned NATO ally Turkey that it risks seriously damaging its relationship with Washington after testing a Russian-made S-400 air defense system despite repeated pleas from the US. You know that old saying about poking the bear? Poking the bear? Well, Turkey's poking the bear as a metaphor. In this case, NATO is the bear, or should we say the beast, because we know NATO represents the beast. The beast is Esau, Edom, which interchanges with NATO because NATO is controlled by the Edomites, and it's a nation of, it's a confederate of Edomite countries that make up NATO, and the head of NATO is America. Turkey is poking the beast, right? And I keep telling you that the way this thing is going to play out, Turkey is going to do something. Turkey's going to poke that beast once too often, right? Turkey's going to poke that beast once too often, and then the NATO members are going to get together and they are going to expel Turkey out of NATO. They're going to expel Turkey out of NATO because there's been several incidents in the last 12 months that Turkey has done that have aggravated America and NATO. And this is just the latest one. And we spoke about this before. But now the system is all in place. They bought the system a few months ago. They had it delivered a few months ago. And there was a big uproar when it came. But now the S-400 air defense system is all in place. So they was tested it the other day. So this is what the Americans said. They've had, it says, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, which is a Turkish president, on Friday, it was Friday, which was yesterday, sorry, today, Saturday, so it was Friday the 23rd of October 2020 when they did this, said on Friday, gave the first official confirmation of the reports that Turkey had last week tested a missile from the 2.5 billion system which it brought from Moscow with Russian loans. With Russian loans. So they actually loaned the money from the Russian banks to pay the Russians to buy this system. They didn't loan the money from the Western banks, the European banks or the Western bank. They loaned it from the Russian banks. So can you see the tie, the connection? It's getting even closer to Russia. Even though Turkey and Russia are on different sides in certain wars that are going on outside, you know, they're on different sides. But ultimately, Turkey and Russia are going to join sides in this war of Armageddon that's going to be taking place in the Middle East. Right? How do we know this and why do we know this? Because it's prophesied in the book of Ezekiel chapter 38 that the Russians are going to gather all these nations together, and Turkey is one of the main nations that the Russians are going to gather. And remember, Turkey has the biggest army in Europe. It says they were tested, and they're being tested. He said America's stance is absolutely not binding for us. So this is what the Turkish leader says. He says what America is saying, their stance that we shouldn't have this system is not binding to us, right? It says we aren't going to ask America. Jonathan Raff Hoffman, chief Pentagon spokesman, said on Friday, we object to Turkey's testing of this system, which risks serious consequences for our security relationship. How is their security relationship? How is America's security relationship with Turkey? How is that defined? Through NATO. Because they're all members of NATO. That's the elephant in the room, NATO. So when he says that it risks serious consequences for our relationship with security relationship, it says we have been clear. This is what the American chief Pentagon spokesman says, right? Jonathan Hoffman. He says we have been clear and unwavering in our position. An operational S-400 system is not consistent with Turkey's commitment as a US and NATO ally, he added. Just so that if you didn't get it, they made it clear to Turkey with an unwavering, and they're unwavering. So the Americans are not backing down on this. They've been clear and unwavering in their position and operational, which it is now. It's operational because they tested it this week. S-400 system is not consistent with Turkey's commitment as a US and NATO ally, he added. Prophecy is going to fulfill. Prophecy is unfolding, it's going to fulfill. Ezekiel 38 makes it quite clear. Turkey will be outside of NATO. Turkey will be an ally of the Russians in the war of Armageddon. It says Turkey has already been suspended from NATO's F-35 fighter jet program as a result of the decision to buy the S-400s, which American officials say poses a threat to security of the fifth generation F-35's warplane. It says US officials have said Turkey's decision represents a significant barrier to progress elsewhere in the bilateral relationship. The test comes at a time of elevated tensions between Russia and Turkey after a decades-old conflict ignited in the disputed Caucasus region of the Nagorno-Karabakh. And that's when I said that they're on different sides. Russia is more on the side of the Armenians in that war, in the Caucasus, that's going on right now, and Turkey on the side of Azerbaijan. They're not fighting each other, but they're just logistically backing those two sides in that war. So that's a minor thing between Turkey and Russia. They're just on two different sides of an argument. But Turkey's relationship with Russia is getting so much closer. The fact that they bought these systems and defied NATO and defied America, the fact that they loaned the money from Russian banks to pay for this system, they defied NATO and the European banks and America. So it says here, Turkey has thrown its full weight behind Azerbaijan, which we were talking about, which is battling Armenian forces in the region, and in doing so has inserted itself into a conflict that has traditionally been mediated by Moscow. So that's the conflict where they've taken different sides, Turkey and Russia, but that's not going to stop them coming together. Turkey's got too much invested interest with Russia right now. It says the US took on a more prominent role in the conflict on Friday when the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who has expressed his sympathy with the Armenian side, met foreign ministers from both countries from separate. It says here, it says Donald Trump, US President, has forged a bond in recent years with Erdogan, and so far Ankara has been shielded from sanctions that US officials had previously insisted would be applied after Turkey took delivery of the Russian weapons. It says Karim Has, a Moscow-based analyst of Turkish-Russian relations, said the focus in Washington on imminent US presidential elections may have been seen as an opportunity in Ankara to push the boundaries while the establishment was distracted. For Erdogan, it's a good moment to test this system, he said, adding that Washington would be unable to react strongly. One US official warned before the test, however, that growing frustration with Turkey on Capitol Hill would likely lead to further punitive legislative measures against Ankara. Concerns about such prospects have put pressure on the Turkish lira, which is their currency, which is down by more than 20% against the dollar this year, and on Thursday hit a new record low. So, like I said, this is going to happen. Turkey is going to be expelled from NATO for whatever reason. It could be for this, for the next thing they do, but they're continually poking the bear, they're continually poking the beast, right? They're continually poking Esau, which is the beast, which is NATO, one and the same thing, and the head of NATO is America, the dragon. So we're just going to pull out a few scriptures. Just really want to give you an update on that things are escalating once again. So we know, just once again, we'll just go there for edification's sakes. Ezekiel 38. as you know. So this is the prophecy that we're speaking of when we say when the Russians are going to gather the nations together to entertain this war of Armageddon. But remember, this war won't happen until the mark of the beast has been implemented globally. And as you can see what's going on with this COVID-19, how they're using this to force this vaccination, force these lockdowns, to crash the economy, to crash the money system, because they are planning on bringing in the microchip. The microchip must be in place before the war takes place, okay? Which is the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is the microchip, the RFID chip. But for the war of Armageddon will come quite quickly after the mark of the beast has been implemented globally, because the nations are right now, like I said, they're all spending money on their weapons of war. They're all sprucing up their defense systems, and the dominoes are aligning themselves, basically, as you can see. So this is the prophecy that speaks about the Russians taking these nations together under their wing to go into the Middle East to fight this war against NATO. So Ezekiel 38 verse 1 says, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog," which is what we know today as Russia. Gog and Magog is what we know today as Russia. "And the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal," what we know today as Russia, "and prophesies against him." Right? "And say, Thus says the Lord power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal." So Gog and Magog, we'll quickly just show you that, for those of you that don't know. Gog and Magog. Oops. Gog and Magog. So this is what we know as, that's what we know as Russia. Gog and Magog is here. What you know today as, let's open this up a little bit, is what you know today as Russia. All right? So this is what is going to take place. These is the prophecy that Ezekiel has written down here, that it was given to him via an angel. "And I will turn thee back," he says, "and put hooks in thy jaws." What it means, turn thee back, it means he's going to bring you back in again. Bring you back in again. "I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor," which is the Russian army. The Lord is going to draw him into this place. Because remember, the Russians are in the Middle East right now, fighting along Bashar Assad, the Syrian president, fighting against all those jihad Muslim, different factions of Muslim groups, fanatics that they're fighting against in Syria right now. And they also have a base, a ship port in Syria, the Russians. So when it says, "I will turn thee back," it means the Lord is going to bring them back. It means that there's no way out of them coming out of the Middle East until this war of Armageddon takes place. "And I will put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and I will bring thine army, horses, horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords," all their weapons of warfare, everything, their armored cars, armored tanks, their drones. These are all them, because remember what I keep telling you, the war will start up as a conventional war before it escalates to a nuclear war. But the war won't happen until the mark of the beast has been implemented globally, which is the RFID chip. And like I said, COVID-19 is what they are using to push that plan in fast with the chip. It's through COVID-19. The lockdown, the destruction of the economy, the money systems, the IMF are getting together, creating all these new digital currencies. So everything is happening in the back while people are watching celebrity TV. You know, all those sorts of mad things that are not bringing you any fruits at all. So this is the Russians here. The Lord is going to draw the Russians, right? and they're going to gather together the Persians, which is the Iranians. Remember, the arms embargo has just been lifted against Iran just the other day. Remember, arms embargo, Iran arms embargo. Here you go. If you really think this thing ain't happening, this just happened a few days ago. Just so you can see, this is the Guardian newspaper, right? Iran hails lifting of 13-year United Nations UN arms embargo as a momentous day. As a momentous day. Now hear this. Immediate shopping spree is unlikely after the end of military sanctions despite US protests. So they think it's unlikely, but let me tell you, that order was already sitting on the computer. It was just waiting for them to hit the send button. Alright? Because this shopping spree, these Iranians know they can't trust these Western governments to, say, in a year's time to come up with some other arms embargo. So while this arms embargo has been lifted, that has been put on them for 13 years, right? What else are they going to be doing but buying weapons? What else are the Iranians going to be doing but buying weapons? It says Iranian officials have held the lifting of a 13-year UN arms embargo on their military as a momentous day, claiming they were once again free to buy and sell conventional weapons, because the war is going to start off as a conventional war before it escalates to a nuclear war. So everyone's getting their conventional weapons in place as well as their nuclear weapons. So they're now free to buy and sell conventional weapons in an effort to strengthen their country's security. It says the embargo was lifted on Sunday morning despite US protests and was in line with the 5-year timetable set out in Iran nuclear deal. Russia and China are the two countries now most likely to do what? To offer arms to Iran, making Iran less dependent on its own weapons industry and smuggling. Right? It says, but Iran's perilous financial state and the continued threat of US sanctions on anyone trading with the country means Tehran is unlikely to go on a short-term buying spree or reach anything like the defense spending levels of its chief rival Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. Right? It says the Iranian Foreign Ministry said as of today, all restrictions on the transfer of arms, related activities and financial services to and from the Islamic Republic of Iran are fully automatically terminated. The foreign minister described the day as momentous and put the event in a diplomatic as much as a military context. Today, normalization of Iran's defense cooperation with the world is a win for the cause of multilateralism and the peace and security in our region. So that's what's just happened last week. The arms embargo that was on Iran for the last 13 years has been lifted. So we go back to Ezekiel. You think these nations are not getting ready for this war, and these bankers and these elites? It says here, and I will turn thee back, talking about the Russians. He's going to make sure they stay there. But it says, I'm going to turn thee back. It's going to keep them in the Middle East and put hooks in thy jaws. That's a metaphor. He's going to put hooks in their jaws, a metaphor. When you put a hook in someone's jaw, they can't get away from you, making sure they can't get out of the Middle East. And I will bring thee forth, and thine army, horses, horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armour, with a great company, with bucklers and shields, and the handling of swords. Persia, which are the Iranians, Ethiopia, which we know today is Somalia, Eritrea, and Ethiopia, and Libya, which they've just made a peace deal in Libya, the two fighting factions, to stop fighting each other, right? And Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, with all of their weapons of warfare. The Russians are going to be their guide. Gomer and all his bands and the house of Togomar. Gomer and all these bands in the house of Togomar. Gomer and Togomar is what we know today as Turkey. Turkey. Persia is what we know today as Iran. Libya is over here next to Egypt, and then Ethiopia, Somalia, and Eritrea is down here. That's the Kushite Empire. All of these nations are going to be coming together under the Russians' stewardship to fight this war. So the more we see what's going on with Turkey and NATO that Turkey continues to poke the beast. One of these things is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. They're going to expel them from NATO. Because this testing of this S-400 rocket system, defense system, has infuriated the US and NATO. And they've told Turkey that they can't integrate that air defense system with NATO's air defense system because it's Russian built. So everything Turkey is doing tells me that very soon they're going to be expelled from NATO. And that's what's going to strengthen their allegiance with Russia, because just like how Russia sees NATO as the enemy, as their adversary, Turkey now will be able to speak out even more boldly, and they'll start rebuking NATO, and they'll start saying, who do they think they are, these imperialists, and da-da-da-da-da. You know, Erdogan, you're going to come with a beautiful speech for these devils. So this is what's going on right now. So let's just quickly so it says here, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togomar, the north quarters, all his bands, and many people with thee, be thou prepared, which is what they're doing, and prepare for thyself. So do you really believe that after Iran had been on an arm embargo for 13 years, it got lifted, that they're not buying arms? The amount of trolleys that Iran have got in the arms supermarket, no matter what anyone tells you in the media, let me tell you, Iran is stocking up on as much arms as possible. And those orders were put in place a long time. They just couldn't be executed yet. So they already knew what they wanted. It was just waiting for this arms embargo to be lifted, which it did last week. So now they're preparing. Everyone's preparing. Everyone's preparing. You saw the Chinese with their new weapons. You saw Kim Jong-un showing off his new nuclear weapon the other day with a massive parade. Everyone is preparing. The only people that are not preparing are those that don't believe in the scriptures. Those people whose heads stuck in the sand. Those people who are worshipping and believing in other religions and beliefs and faith system. And the Christian churches. The so-called Christian churches who do not understand this Bible, which is a book of prophecy. History, prophecy. Do not understand these scriptures. They're not preparing. They're not preparing their congregation what's coming. But this is coming, family. So you have to truly be spiritually and mentally ready for this, what's coming. Because there's going to be a lot of hard times with this. When this comes. So it says here. But like I said, if you're of the house of Israel, pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai that he delivers you through these times. But before the war comes, as you know, that before the war comes, this must come first. The hour of temptation must come before the war of Armageddon. Revelations 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which is the microchip, which is the mark of the beast, which shall come upon all the world. Because the mark of the beast, the microchip, is going to go global. To do what? To try them that dwell upon the earth. So this must come first. The hour of temptation, the microchip going global, must come before the war of Armageddon. But they are both going to take place. That's why the Lord says, behold, I come quickly, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man may take your crowd. And what is that you have? Is this truth. Hold that fast which you have. For those of us that understand the scriptures and this truth. So, it says here, Ezekiel 38 and 7, be thou prepared. Are you prepared, family? And prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee. And be thou a guard unto them. Gog and Magog, the Russians, are going to be a guard unto all of these nations that they're going to gather together for this war of Armageddon. So it says here, after many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years, and thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, right? And is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, because they're going to go to war against Israel. Something's going to happen. I don't know what's going to... I can't say to you, I know what the catalyst is going to be, what's going to cause it, but something's going to happen in the Middle East that's going to cause the Russians to go to war against the Israelis, which is going to pull in the Americans and NATO, and then that's it, all bets are off. So it's coming up against the mountains of Israel, the governments of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. That's the soldiers, the armies. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land. It's going to be the greatest war. It's going to be the war of all wars. Thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus says the Lord power. It shall come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. What's that evil thought? That's when they're going to go up against the Americans. That's when the nukes are going to get involved. I will go, the land of unwalled villages is America. I will go to them that are at rest, America. They're at rest in America. They don't believe that anything can happen to them in America, because America's always fought its wars outside of its borders. It's always sent its soldiers into another country to bomb, to destroy, to commit all of its crimes that it does during a war. When they was arming up all of those different right-wing factions in South America and training them in North America, in their military schools, and them sending them back down to South America to take down the democratic elected governments down there, because they didn't like who was governing those countries in South America. They fought those wars against all of those people, and then they called them rebels. They sent their soldiers over to Iraq. They invaded Grenada, the island in the West Indies in the 1980s. They went and sent their soldiers to Vietnam. They sent their soldiers to North Korea. They sent their soldiers to Afghanistan. America's, the only war, the last war America had on its land was the Civil War. Right? Was the Civil War in the 1860s. They've never had a world war on their land. And before that, it was the War of Independence against the British. So when it says, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, that's America. I will go to them that are at rest. They're at rest in America. So those Americans don't believe, they believe that they're the strongest nation in the world because of their army. They're at rest. That dwells safely. Because they've never had a war on their land. They've never had countries flying airplanes and dropping bombs. You know, like how when they fought in the Second World War, they was bombing Germany and bombing up all the different cities in Germany, and they were bombing up the Japanese and bombing up the Italians, and they dropped 2 nuclear bombs on Japan, one on Hiroshima, one on Nagasaki, and they flattened many cities in Germany, flattened them with their bombing. They've never had that. We've had that in England because the Germans sent their airplanes, fighters over here, and they bombed London and Birmingham and Liverpool and different parts of England. We've had the air raids run down, and not me myself, but back in the Second World War, they've had it here in England, they've had it in Europe, but America have never experienced a world war. So that war that starts in the Middle East between the Russians and its allies and Israel and its allies is going to escalate to the continent of America. And that's when it's going to turn nuclear. And I will go to them that are at rest. Who are them that are at rest? The Americans that dwell safely, because they don't believe anyone can trouble them on that land. All of them dwelling without walls and having their bars, no gates. To do what? To take a spoil. The Most High is going to use the Russians to take a spoil on this land, on America. To take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited. That's America. And upon the people, listen carefully, upon the people that are gathered out of the nations. So what country has people gathered out of nearly all the nations on this planet Earth that all the people are living in right now? Where is that mixed multitude of people where all nations live? That's the United States of America. The one country on this planet Earth that's probably got nations from every single country around the world that's living in that country is the United States of America. So the Russians are going to take a spoil and to take a prey. To turn thine hand, they're going to turn their hand, which is their weapons, upon that desolate place that is now inhabited. Because they went there, these Europeans, and they built up these cities. All of these cities, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Boston, New York, Florida. They went and built up their cities, Esau. It's now totally inhabited with all of their cities. And upon the people that are gathered out of the nations. That's America. Which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. That's what's coming. That's what's coming. That's the war of Armageddon that's coming. So, I say again, you see what's happened with Turkey. I'm telling you, this is not no joke. What's happened here with Turkey, this is not no joke. They are continually poking the bear. Turkey are continually poking the bear because everything that they are doing, as far as the Americans are concerned, it's totally against the run of play. And they refuse to lie down, Turkey. So these S-400 missiles, now they're all in place, they're all being tested.
Last week, the United States condemned, in the strongest terms, Turkey's reported test of the nation's S-400 air defense systems, after a video began circulating in the Turkish media showing what appears to be the trail of a missile launch in the city of Sinop, reported SputnikNews.com.
Yeah, this is what's killing them.
Turkish Defense Minister Hulusi Akar has stated that Ankara is still open to buying U.S. Patriot systems despite the purchase of Russia's S-400s. The acquisition of the S-400 was not a preference but a necessity. It does not mean our alienation from NATO. If such a need arises and if we are given guarantees related to technology transfer, joint production, and delivery schedule, we can purchase a Patriot or SAMP-T, surface-to-air missile platform. Turkey has been working with its allies on alternative options and will continue this effort. We cannot accept statements like, "We are ready to sell, but Congress does not allow deliveries," Akar said, as quoted by Turkish broadcaster NTV. Speaking further, the senior official confirmed that Turkey had conducted tests of the Russian-made S-400 air defense systems in Sinop, noting that this was just scheduled work within the contract.
We're getting ready.
Every purchase contract envisions tests. This is part of the acquisition program. These are purely technical activities, Akar said, as quoted by the Turkish broadcaster NTV. Earlier this month, Turkey issued an international Navtex alert about artillery exercises in the area of the Black Sea town of Sinop from the 13th to the 17th of October. A defense source told Sputnik that Turkey had successfully tested the S-400 systems, previously purchased from Russia. Moscow and Ankara signed a loan agreement on the delivery of S-400 systems in December 2017.
$2.5 billion.
In 2019, Turkey received several S-400 batteries worth $2.5 billion.
There you go. Now they're all in place. It's all set up in place. Everything's in place.
Turkey's cooperation with Russia on the matter has been strongly criticized by NATO and the United States, who have cited security concerns relating to the S-400's alleged incompatibility with NATO's air defense systems.
Hear that? So Turkey, NATO, America and NATO, two flags there. They're not having it. They're not having it. They're not having it. So this war is going to take place. Let me just quickly bring out one more. Joel chapter 3. One more precept. Joel chapter 3 verse 2, as we all know. The prophecy says, I will gather all nations, I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. This is the war of Armageddon. And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, which are the true children of Israel. African Americans, West Indians and Caribbeans, those who descend from the transatlantic slave trade, and your Native American Indian tribes of North America, South America, Canada and the West Indies, today who they call Latinos, Hispanics, Mexicans and Puerto Ricans. Those are the Lord's people. Those are the people those are the heritage of Israel. That's who the Lord is coming to deliver, but only the elect out of those people. And that's going to happen at some point during this war, the war of Armageddon. So the Lord says he's going to plead for them for my people, my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So that's where he's gathering them. He's gathering all the nations. So it says here, Joel 3:10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. Who are the weak? These were the lesser nations. Now they are saying they are strong because they have the weapon capability now to go up against America, NATO. They have the capability because they can now create their own alliance. And that's what the Russians are going to do. The Russians are going to create an alliance with these nations, what they will consider rogue nations, to go up against NATO and America in this war of Armageddon. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen. They're all gathering to go to the Middle East, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. I say again, assemble yourselves and come, all you heathens. It's not for us Israelites to be involved in, but there are many Israelites that have joined up, part of the American army, part of these European armies, because they lived in this country and for so many decades with their parents and their foreparents and so forth, that they've joined these countries' armies. But this is a war for the heathens. World War III, the war of Armageddon. And gather yourselves together round about. It says, thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to where? To the valley of Jehoshaphat, which means Yahweh's judge, Yahweh's judgment. That's the valley of Yahweh's judgment. Yahweh has judged. He's going to judge all the nations there. Conventional to nuclear. It's going to start conventional, then go to nuclear. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle. The sickle is a sharp instrument that you normally use to harvest your fields. But in this point, it's a metaphor talking about the weapons of war. Just like how in Ezekiel 38, the Lord used these metaphors when he says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws to bring them back, to keep them in the Middle East, the Russians, and I will bring thee forth with thine army, horses, horsemen, all them clothed with all sorts of armour, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. They're not actually going to be coming with shields and actual physical swords. These are metaphors speaking of the modern day weapons that they're going to be carrying. Their guns, their drones, their rocket launchers, their tanks, their armoured vehicles. That's what this is. This is just a metaphor to talking about the weapons of war today. Just like how it says here. Put you in the sickle. You're not actually going to be coming with sickle. This is just to represent the weapons, for the harvest is ripe. What harvest is that? The harvest is talking about the war, the armies. All the armies are there. Everyone's ready to go. Everything's good to go. The harvest is going to be all of the armies that are gathered together in the Middle East, in the valley of Jehoshaphat, in what we used to be called Mesopotamia, to go to war against each other. The harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats are overflow. For their what? For their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision. That's the multitudes of the armies in the valley of decision. The valley of Jehoshaphat. For the day of the Lord Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. It says the sun and the moon shall be darkened and the stars shall withdraw their shining. What's going to cause that? When the war escalates to nuclear. Conventional to nuclear. Conventional to nuclear. And that's how it's going to go down. That's exactly how it's going to. Everyone's getting ready for this war. Whether you want to hear or whether you want to forbear. I just really want to bring that out today again to give you a bit of a more update of what's going on with Turkey, NATO and America. Everyone is getting ready. Everyone is lining out their chips in the right place. Like I said, they've been rebuked. US rebukes Turkey after Russian missile system test, which they did this week. Turkey continues to poke the beast. The beast is Esau. Esau is NATO. They control NATO. NATO is all of these Edomite nations together that have combined together. That's the head of it is America. So when we talk about the beast interchanges with Esau and NATO because they are one and the same thing. The mark of the beast is the microchip. That's Esau's microchip that he wants to use. That's his mark, which will come before the war in the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's the war that's coming. It's the war of... Let me just get this out here. It's... 1 second. Just quickly, this is what's coming. Let's see, I'm just going to bring out a precept in here. So I think we want to. Start here. So we have a precept here before we shut this down. Revelation 16 and 14. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, right? Talk about Esau, which go forth into the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of the Most High Almighty. You understand? It says, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keepeth these garments. When it says watches and keepeth your garments, talking about these scriptures. Blessed are those that have kept their mind on the scriptures. Blessed are those that have stuck with this word and keepeth his garments, which is this truth. Lest he walk naked. You know who's walking naked? IUIC. Those that call themselves Israelites united in Christ. Why are they walking naked? Because they're telling their followers and everyone else that listens to them, they are telling them that the mark of the beast is not the microchip. ISP UK, they are walking naked because they are telling their followers and people that listen to those brothers preach that the mark of the beast is not the microchip. So they are walking naked. But we are not walking naked because we know categorically, unequivocally, that the mark of the beast is the microchip and that this war of Armageddon is coming. So it says, blessed is he that watches. This is what we do, we watch. So when you see me read out articles like this, it's because I am watching. When we see you play your news reports like this, it's because I am watching. And that's what we do. We watch. So it says, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keep his garments. The garment says this truth. Lest he walk naked. That's why when it talks about the 10 virgins, 5 wise, and 5 that were not wise, 5 that had oil in the lamp, 5 that didn't. The 5 that don't have the oil in the lamp are those that are teaching the scriptures, but are not teaching the truth of the scriptures. Especially when it comes to things like the mark of the beast, or who the true children of Israel are. And who can receive salvation? Only the elect. So it says, blessed is he that watches and keepeth his garments, lest he walks naked and they see his shame. And we can see their shame of those that don't preach this truth, 100% this truth. But they are going to see it themselves when they see this devil makes this microchip mandatory literally on the whole world. They're going to see it when this devil pushes this microchip on a global basis. They're going to see it. They're going to see their shame and that they were walking naked when they see this devil collapse the current money systems and get rid of all of this monetary money and replace it with digital currencies. And with those digital currencies, it's going to eventually go from paying with your phones to paying with a microchip. It's all going to go digital. This money system, you're going to come to a day very shortly where you're not going to be able to withdraw cash out of the machines no more, ATMs no more. Because this devil is going digital. And they've already put in the pieces together to create the digital currencies for the different major currencies. Like you're going to have a digital euro, a digital dollar, a digital yuan, a digital ruble, a digital pound. All of the big players are getting ready for this. And once they've put that in place, once the microchip's gone global, then we're going to head to the war. So they're going to see their shame. So it says here, and he gathered them together. Who's he gathering together? All of the nations. This is who he's gathering together. All of these nations here that we spoke about. All of these nations here. All of these nations here that we spoke about in Joel. When it says multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. That's the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh's judgment. And this is who they're gathering together in Revelation 16. And he gathered them together, all these nations, into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. This is the war of Armageddon. And we've shut it down in here, but we'll just quickly show you. Armageddon.
Strong's G 717. Armageddon. Armageddon.
Hill or city of Megiddo. Revelation 16:16. The scene of a struggle of good and evil. Because once the war is in place, at some point the Lord is going to come. The good is going to come. That's when the chariots come, the angels come, Yahweh comes, they deliver the elect, and then that's the good that's coming to wage war against the evil, which is Esau. This is the place of struggle. This is where it's going to start off before the Lord takes on the nations everywhere in all of their countries. But first he's going to take them down in the Middle East. The scene of struggle of good and evil is suggested by the battle plain of Esdron, which was famous for two great victories. All right, Barak over the Canaanites. That goes back to the book of Numbers, where Barak was when they asked Balaam to curse the Israelites, and of Gideon. If you remember Gideon's story, when he had the 300 that went against the 10,000 over the Midianites. All right, so this is where it's going to take place. Armageddon. This is where it's going to happen. So something else I was going to show you here. Megiddo. Something else I wanted to show, if I remember, was it here? A hill, a mount, a country. Hold on. Here you go. Sinai as the abode of Yahweh. All right. At the giving of the law, that's where the laws were given to Moses. Remember, Mount Sinai is down there in the Middle East, what we know today as modern day Saudi Arabia. Often called also the holy mountain of the Most High. That's why the Most High is coming to judge his people there. This is where it has to start there. The great judgment has to be there. The same place where the Most High gave the laws and commandments and statutes to the nation of Israel. This is where he's going to take down the nations before he goes, before the chariots and the elect and the 144,000 go to take down the nations in their individual countries around the world. But first it's going to start in the Middle East, where the war of Armageddon starts. That's where the Lord is going to take them down first. Once this war is escalated to a nuclear war, then the Lord and the angels and the 144,000 who are going to be delivered are going to take down the rest of the nations. The rest of the 1/3 of Israel that are going to be delivered are going to be witnessing the taking down of these nations in the chariots. But the 144,000, the 12,000 each of the 12 tribes are going to play a part alongside Michael and all of the archangels in taking down all of these nations. While the rest of the 1/3 that are going to be delivered are going to be watching Michael, Gabriel, all of the angels and all of the rest of the 144,000 taking down these nations from the chariots. Simple as that. So anyway, on that note, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rekah, Kodash, Tawada. I pray this was an edifying lesson to the brothers and sisters that tuned in live, and for those of you that may tune in later. And as I said, it's all about enduring to the end. Like the Lord says here, behold, I come quickly, hold that fast which thou hast, which is this truth, that no man take thy crown. It means no man, no woman takes your crown. All right? Simple as that. So, like I say, I pray this was an edifying lesson to all the brothers and sisters that tuned in live, and for those of you that may tune in later, until we meet again, Shalom, 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 Barakatayha, Barakatayha Shai, Barakatayha, Barakatayha Shai, Barakatayha, Barakatayha Shai. Shalom, family.